Hey, this is Nick the Mining Book Guy, and today I've got a really cool new book to share with you, The Mandibles by Lionel Shriver. Hopefully I pronounced her name correctly. So this one has a cool, pre-story of how I discovered the book. I have to give a shout out to @Hunter at CEO.CA, and he actually hangs out in my room there, MBG Trends, which I'll put a link up right now so you can, if you haven't seen that room, you should definitely check it out because we share book ideas and other things there from time to time. But he didn't share this book specifically. He shared a Bloomberg, best books of 2016 list. And honestly, I tend to not like going through these lists of what's popular, but, I love it that Hunter shared this with me because this was easily the most intriguing book on there. And so I was like, okay, this is kind of neat. I think Ian Bremmer had recommended it. But in any case, I checked out the Amazon page and I was like, wow, no way I would have, bought this book if it wasn't a recommendation. And then the book came in, and then I saw that there was a quote from Jim Rickards at the front of the book. I was like, wait, how did that happen? Because I love Jim Rickards' books, and I'll get into that a little later in this video as well. But then I literally, like a couple days after the book came in, I saw that Jim Rickards recommended it on his Twitter feed. So I was like, okay, I need to read this right away. And I'm so glad I did, because this is like, I'm calling it right now, this is the gateway book to all the other, not just mining books, but all the financial and geopolitics and all the stuff that I really like on this channel. This is the book you should read first. So if this is your first video that you're seeing on the Mining Book Guy channel, read this book. I'm actually intrigued by the idea of reading this book before all the other stuff I recommended. Of course, I don't have the possibility of doing that because I've already read all this other stuff. But I feel that you can go into this particular book not knowing anything, and I know you will enjoy it just from the character development. I actually have to read Ms. Shriver's other books because they probably don't have anything to do with the financial landscape, but she does an excellent job of character development. There's all these characters in the book, and you can't give each of them too much time, but you really, you care about them, and there's a really important aspect that I haven't seen done this well anywhere else is the generational aspect that that really helps you to just kind of like figure out which one kind of fits you, because you could be any age reading this, but then to start to understand how other generations are reacting to what's happening in the book. I'm not going to give away the plot, but I'll just say there is a disaster involving finance, and you just kind of go from there, downward spiral, but there's all sorts of neat twists and turns. But there are a few things I should mention, in relation to this, since it is a gateway book. After you read this book, assuming you haven't read other books I recommended, definitely check out the link that I'm gonna that you can see below and should show up right now. That is for the books. The three books that I consider to kind of be like the core books to contrast, to compare right now for predicting the near future. Those are Neil Howe's, Generations or Fourth Turning book, Jim Rickards' Currency Wars, but leading to The Road to Ruin, which I haven't reviewed, but The Road to Ruin is an excellent companion book here. And then George Friedman's The Next Decade, Flashpoints, which I haven't reviewed, and also, The Next 100 Years, but The Next Decade I think is his best. Though that covers, with Neil Howe, Generations, with Jim Rickards, money and a bit of geopolitics, and then with George Friedman, really heavy on the geopolitics. Like this is the book, The Mandibles, that you read before getting the other stuff. And if you can grasp all of that, oh man, I think you will be on top of what's coming in the next few years. At least that's how I feel. And it's not like we'll know exactly what's going to happen, but The Mandibles is kind of like, in my opinion, has become the cornerstone of that, to get you in and it's not like this is what's exactly going to happen, but there's some really cool ideas in this book that help you understand generational aspect and money aspect. Maybe not as much as geopolitics, but of course there's all sorts of future paths we could go in. I'm hesitant to buy too much into the Mandibles side of things, and I'll just say that there's a little more pessimism about the US there than what you'll see from someone like George Friedman. I'm actually more optimistic about the US's future than, you know, what you see in the book as well. But these are, you know, great discussion points, and, you know, can lead you into other books or other, you know, forms of media as well. I would, you know, just add a couple of things I haven't reviewed, but, you know, if you want more, like, this is all about kind of getting you into reading books and, you know, watching movies. Signals by Pippa Malmgren. I really love that book as well. For some reason I haven't reviewed it yet, but I'll get to that in the next few months. That's another good type of intro book. This book made me think a lot of that, so we could throw that one in with the ones I just described. And then, just for fun, I will mention Looper, the film. This made me think of that, and that's sci-fi, and that's another, you know, future type of film, and it's more fun, but not as, you know, necessarily educational. But there's a really cool gold and silver aspect that kind of, you know, overlaps with these two. If you haven't seen that film, you definitely should. I can put a link up for that as well. And I'll just mention, you know, this is definitely on my short list for, you know, early favorites of 2017. I feel like this might be, you know, the best book I read in 2017, even though it's basically the first one. So keep that in mind. I mean, I read a lot of stuff, and I really, really enjoyed this. So you should check out The Mandibles immediately. If you're new to this scene, yeah, I recommend picking it up even quicker than if you've got a whole list of other books ready. So like, I get into it immediately. So hopefully we can discuss more. Yeah, and just to mention one more time, you know, CEO.CA /MBG trends. This is a perfect type of book to talk about in my little room that I run there with a bunch of other great people who contribute all the time. I think this would be a really cool book to discuss there. So thanks for watching. This is Nick, the Mining Book Guy. Please like, share, and subscribe. Bye.